Hello, beautiful friends. You have a divine right to health through relationship without domination. And so it is as we enter the labyrinth with the intent to embrace that divine right to health through relationship without domination. Yesterday, I went to work. I had to be up at 1 a.m. in order to go to work. Worked for 8 hours. Did my hour commute back and forth, so basically a 10-hour day. And I came home to be a police officer because our county commissioners told us that it's up to us to police the activities of an unsanctioned horse racing track that's a mile away from us. And they approved, knowing full well that these types of venues, because they're unsanctioned, are rife with illegal activities such as drug use, animal abuse, doping of the horses, illegal gambling, violence, all of these things. They were told by a DA from Texas that these unsanctioned horse racing tracks are popping up all over in Texas and all over in eastern Colorado, and they draw a wealth of problems. This retired DA spoke very passionately about how Weld County didn't want to approve the use by special review permit because of the issues that are caused around these things. I was told by an investigator for ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, that I should not go anywhere near these events, stay away, because he feared for my safety. And he knows full well what goes on at these things. I was also told by a brave young man at Rocky Mountain Horse Expo when I spoke about these events that everything that I feared was true. He had witnessed it, was very traumatized by what was happening, knew of more than one family in Greeley who had very small businesses that were not exactly what you would call successful and thriving, but were used for money laundering operations, with these events being what they really were making their money off of. The owner, who had applied for the permit, had hired a very fancy engineering firm who basically polished the presentation to such a degree, and then had this owner's Christian pastor stand up and speak to his character that this was just good, clean fun. And so he would do everything he needed to do to protect the sanctity of the neighborhood in which he was building his track in the middle of. And so the county commissioners gave conditioned approval. And once this gentleman who is pastor defended and witnessed and testified for his character met all of these conditions, he could hold these races. Well, when we asked the commissioners who would be watching this to make sure that this guy had done what he needed to do to meet the conditions, the commissioners told us it was up to us to police it. So that's how I went from working a 10-hour day, basically, to coming home and being a police officer. At risk to myself, according to ATF, and at risk to my husband and my other neighbors. We spent until 7:30 p.m. Now remember, I got up at 1 a.m. filming, tracking, documenting where they had not followed through with the conditions of having this event. Now, because we were told not to actually be on the property, we were very limited in what we could do from the road and had to limit it to just tracking the number of people that were at the event. So we counted the number of vehicles as they exited. I called Weld County Sheriff to let them know that they were breaking the law by holding this event on ag land that was a commercial event without the proper permitting in place. The sheriff drove by but didn't stop. Didn't even really look at it closely. Drove by on the public right-of-way, but didn't drive down our private driveway in order to really see what was going on. So now it's up to us to take the documentation that we have, bring it back to the commissioners, and let them know what's happening. So we'll see if there's any teeth to what we've been told we can do. All we can do is pray that the commissioners will see the error of their ways and that this guy and his group of people will actually follow the laws, which he's already thumbed his nose at more than once, so that we can have a peaceful neighborhood without the threat of violence, and that these horses, at least in this venue, are not dominated. Because it's unsanctioned, there are no rules. There's no rules against doping, no rules against abuse, nobody tracking that, because it's unsanctioned, unregulated. And I'd already been considering domination versus relationship in what's happening with our health freedoms, and how rather than being empowered to be in relationship with nature and boost our immune systems and to recognize that we have these glorious, beautiful bodies that work well with nature when they're not poisoned by glyphosate, by global spraying, by pharmaceuticalization to such a degree that it doesn't work, can't work, is poisoned. The great poisoning. It is the great poisoning that we've been a part of under the auspices of taking care of us by the government. It's that same government that is in the process of dominating our bodies. Rather than empowering us, teaching us how taking this pharmaceutical to address the symptoms from the other pharmaceutical and from the GMOs that they've been telling us we have to have. They're not telling us that if you eat cleanly, are in relationship with nature, look at the way that your body really does work and is so beautiful and so powerful. Honoring your body in a way that you can listen to it and know what's right for you, what's going to protect your health. Honoring your body in a way that you see, feel, hear, sense when something is just off. So then you need to do something to boost that offness in a way that is in relationship with the body, not dominating the body by suppressing it with pharmaceuticals or other measures that hinder the expiation of viruses and other things that are not suiting to your body. So domination is the theme. These horses that are running on the track are representative of a marginalized people. The people who come to these things, they don't have a relationship with their bodies. They don't know how to have a relationship with their bodies. So they can't have a relationship with nature, with horses, that's healthy. They're just interested in expressing their anger and frustration at the domination that they've been subjected to through the horses, through projecting all of that out there onto the horses in the hopes of making a little money,